A monstrous hit record. Huge. Number one record. It was one of the big classics of early rock and roll. And Connie Francis, of course, then went on to become a superstar and a legend and one of Dick Clark's closest friends. And it's one of the reasons we wanted to talk to her tonight, besides the fact that she is a living legend and a rock and roll icon and one of the great voices in the world and a fine actress. And it's good to have her back with us. Connie Francis, how are you?
I'm fine. Well, everybody's sad today, Mark. A lot of people are sad today.
Now, Dick Clark, he was such a part of your life. Do you remember the first meeting with him?
Yeah, of course I do. I met him every day at 4 o'clock when I went over to my TV and turned on American Bandstand. He was, to me, Americana personified. And his program, American Bandstand, was such a unifying force in America. It was like we were all together at a giant rock and roll party. And I don't think there was a teenager in America who felt alone when they watched American Bandstand.
You know, I don't know if kids today could even understand this, but rock and roll was not yet acceptable, and he helped make it legitimate to America.
Absolutely.
And
there would have been no Connie Francis, and there would have been a lot of people without American Bandstand. And I remember that day. It was January 1st, 1958. We were all gathered at home eating a humongous Italian meal holiday. And I went over to my 14-inch black and white Motorola, turned on an American Bandstand just like 8.5 million American teenagers, and heard Dick Clark say, well, there's a new girl singer, and she's headed straight for the number one spot. I knew it couldn't be me, because I'd had 10 bomb records in a row, so I knew it couldn't be me. And then he played my record of Who's Sorry Now.
Wow.
I think he was the only one who recognized, aside from my father, who insisted, for a year and a half that I recorded that dumb song written in 1923, that it was a hit. And Dick Clark recognized it. And,
wow. Hey, but Connie Francis, with the amazing singing voice you had, how did you manage to have 10 bomb records?
Well, I did a good job. I picked all those songs myself, and it took my daddy to pick out a hit record.
I mean, with your voice, it was pretty tough to get 10 bomb records out of it.
Well, I did it. I chose the songs, and my father, I said, Daddy, I said, the kids will laugh me right off American Bandstand. And he said, honey, if you don't record this song, the only way you'll ever get an American Bandstand is if you sit on top of the TV set. So I had never met my idol when he played that song. And then, of course, he played it every day until it sold 1 million records. And there would have been no Connie Francis without Dick Clark. He was the major force in my life and my dearest friend in this business.
Well, now, he was not just a TV host. He was a brilliant producer, a brilliant businessman.
Everything. I mean, when people don't realize, just what a force he was. He was ABC television.
Yeah. And I knew him through the years, and he was a workaholic, but in a nice way. He loved to work.
Absolutely. That was his fun. That was his play. I remember one time I called him. I said, Dick, will you come to my opening at wherever it was? I think it was Anaheim. And he said, Melodyland right in Anaheim. He said, no, he can. He said, I'm taping 10 Pyramids today. The 10 Pyramid shows in one day. That was his fun.
And in between, he'd be working on specials, working on new series.
Yeah, in his van. He had a big van. It was all black. Windows were all blacked out. I remember he used to pick me up at the airport and that. And he used to edit his shows right in that van. Never wasted a single minute. That was his fun. That's what the success in life means, Mark, is if you find the work that's play and you play real hard.
Wow. But, he was so smart. You must have turned to him 1 million times for advice on something.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was my mentor.
Did I hear you say once there were times you were going to quit, you were going to give up, and he pushed you to stay?
Absolutely. After I was a victim of rape, I did not appear before the public for 7 years. And then he convinced me in 1977 to make my only personal appearance in those 7 years on his Wednesday Night Live show. And it was really a moment in television history when you watch that program, because both he and I, but even more so, Dick broke down on that show. They couldn't even talk to go into the next, commercial, the next spot. It was such a touching moment for him because it really showed how much he cared.
Wow.
And it was just an amazing man,
Wow,
an amazing human being. And he treated everyone alike. It didn't matter whether you were a little guy low on the totem pole or the biggest star. Dick Clark was always there for you.
Yeah. I never saw him get mad. He get very businesslike at times, but I can't.
He was a calming force.
Yeah.
He just brought, what can I say?
Boy, that's the word, calm. He spoke, no matter what he was doing, in such a calm way.
Yeah, he was.
Wow. And, hey, Connie Francis, as long as I have you on the line, in case anybody doesn't know, a major Broadway show is coming to Broadway based on your life.
Yeah, isn't that exciting?
And
we have a wonderful writer, Mark.
Oh, who's the writer again? Is it...
Steve Cronus. He won a few Emmys for 24, the series 24. He was executive producer and writer of 24, and he did that wonderful miniseries, The Kennedys, with Katie Holmes.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
He's a wonderful writer. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. I'm going out to L.A., and I'm looking forward to seeing that, but I know it'll be amazing.
What?
It's quite a story. I don't think any Hollywood screenwriter could have dreamed it up, and I know that Steve is very eager to get his teeth into this.
Well, and Bruce Sherritt, our friend, is the producer, and you've got obviously the great music, the unbelievable hits, and the songs will fill this Broadway musical. But if you saw Jersey Boys and thought, wow, what a behind-the-scenes story, that's nothing compared to the life of Connie Francis. You've got more stories and episodes.
Yeah, and Bruce Sherritt saw this. It all happened about a year and a half ago, and I called Bruce. I have a book that's coming out called Among My Souvenirs. It'll be out at the end of June. And I didn't know what to do with it, so I called Bruce, and I said, I don't know what to do with my book. It's 1,000 pages long. I don't know what to do with it. So I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I have a new show. It's called Robin and the Seven Hoods, and it's opening in 2012, which it will be. It's September 19th. And it has all the Sammy Comm, Jimmy Van Heusen songbook. And I said, wow. I said, what he said, well, what are you doing? I said, I have a book. And I said, what are you doing next? He said, I think I'm going to do a Broadway show about the Copa. Then the next day he called me and he said, I had a dream last night. I'm not doing the Copa. I'm doing the Connie Francis story. I said, you are? It was just an epiphany.
Yeah, but your story it takes in everything from the Dick Clark story to the Copa story. I mean, you were a part of all that.
To the Sullivan years, to the Vegas, when Vegas was Vegas. It was a wonderful period of time, the most exciting period of time, I think, the sexiest period of time. And the 60s, really.
Obviously, all the movies, and interwoven through your story, you got Neil Sedaka, and obviously
Bobby Darin and Dick, of course, so Frank Sinatra, the Rat Pack, all of that was part of my life.
And how does anybody get this down to 2 hours in a Broadway show?
Hard to do, but if anybody can do it, Steve Cronus will do it.
Wow! And of course, all the music and that'd be an amazing Broadway experience.
It's going to be really more like a story, a dramatic story with music in it.
Yeah, and you've had a lot of drama, a lot of bad things. I mean, you don't mind putting that all out there?
Oh no, I don't mind putting it all out there. I think it touches everybody. It's everybody's story. Every woman has had an abusive husband. A lot of women have had abusive husbands, but many women have suffered rape and heartache, and we've all been there.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed. And in my mental hospitals, I mean, I had 17 commitments to mental hospitals involuntarily. There's a lot of story out there.
You have had quite a life, haven't you?
Yeah, not non-eventful. An eventful life, yeah, and I'm not averse to telling it all.
Wow. Hey, go back to what you were saying, Connie Francis, about the early 60s. You're right. There was we've never seen a period like where Elvis and Frank Sinatra and the Beatles and you and Bobby Darin are all walking around together. I mean,
absolutely. Was there any time more exciting than that? Just think about it.
So why was that? That's unbelievable. You're right. And
it was just the time when it was the beginning of rock and roll. Just think about that. It was like the beginning of rock and roll, 1957, and everything before that was like yesterday's show business. But will there ever be entertainers like Frank and Dean and Sammy again? I think we lived at the very best of times.
Yeah, but it all came at once. You're right. Those guys and the Beatles came at the same time.
It was a convergence, right, of the past and in the future.
Yeah, and it'll all be in this one Broadway musical. And no, we're talking a year from now or so.
Yeah, about 15 months from now.
Wow.
I can't wait.
Well,
I can't wait.
Well, what about the book? When does that book come out?
The book will be out mid-June.
Oh, okay. That's great.
It's called Among My Souvenirs.
All right. That's great. So that'll be something. And Connie Francis, thanks for all the great memories. And so sorry about the loss of Dick Clark.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Well, let's do this again soon.
Yeah, we'll do that when I'm in the city, Mark. I'd love to do your show again.
All right. Thanks a lot. And
thank you, Mark.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.